Good morning and welcome to Korea Today, live from Seoul.
Setting her foot down, President Park Geun-hye says the government won't compromise on the ongoing railway strike without principle. Labor unionists warn of a massive rally to call for the president's resignation.
And the state-run railway operator Korail says it will hire 500 temporary workers, more coming up in the headlines.
And in what would be a history-making move, a state-owned bank could see a woman at the helm. We'll tell you who on In Print.
And why are more and more consumers turning to international online shopping to buy goods, even though it takes longer and you have to pay for shipping, not to mention import taxes? Hitting the slopes, cutting trails, and kicking up powder is what skiers and snowboarders are doing right now, but how do you make sure you steer clear from small and big accidents and injuries? On Tuesday, December 24th, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And good Tuesday morning, everyone. You're watching Korea Today on Christmas Eve.
All right, thank you for joining us on this wonderful occasion. Now it's Tuesday. Keeping the promise, though, is Chinese President Xi Jinping. He has kept the promise right on Christmas Eve. I believe they arrived yesterday, right? But they are crested ibises, very endangered species. They have been sent to Korea. Now they're safe and sound at the Upo Crested Ibis Restoration Center that's in Gyeongsang-namdo.
We could consider them Christmas gifts from Beijing, right? The male ibises will go through quarantine for 3 weeks before mating with female ibises here in Korea. And hopefully by spring they'll have baby ibises. And like you said, these are endangered species, so hopefully good luck to them in mating.
All right.
Maybe they'll have lots of babies.
Good luck to them. They are only found in the wild in China's Shaanxi province. And of course, that was a promise that President Xi Jinping of China made to President Park Geun-hye during the Korea-China bilateral summit.
That's right. We'll leave the story there and go to our headlines with Na Hyun-kyung.
So the prolonged railway strike is renewing its record of being its longest strike so far every day. But the union and the government are in a tight deadlock and unwilling to back down. The escalating tensions have prompted President Park Geun-hye to comment on this situation.
당장 어렵다는 이유로 원칙 없이 적당히 타협하고 넘어간다면 우리 경제, 사회의 미래를 기약할 수 없을 것입니다.
So it looks like the government will remain firm in dealing with the walkout. The state-run train operator Korail says it plans on hiring some 500 temporary workers to substitute for the striking members. The overall rate of train operation is expected to hover around 77% this week, but Korail says if the strike continues, that level will drop below the 70% mark next week. And the ongoing rail strike appears to be morphing into a labor movement against the government following the Korean Confederation of Trade Unions' announcement to hold a mass walkout starting Saturday. Another union umbrella group, the Federation of Korean Trade Unions, said it would also show its support and participate in the walkout. The KCTU says the industrial action has now outgrown just the railway strike. The union umbrella group says the government's decision to dispatch hundreds of riot police to raid its headquarters and to use force to enter the premises infringed on their basic labor rights. All of this comes, of course, after the train union started its walkout against Korail's decision to create a subsidiary for some new high-speed KTX train services, calling the decision the government's first step toward privatization. The recently executed Chang Song-taek, uncle of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, may have been removed because he overstepped the boundaries in fighting for big business projects. This, according to South Korea's intelligence chief Nam Jae-jun. Nam says Chang interfered in Pyongyang's most lucrative projects, mostly coal-related ones, sparking conflicts with other financial agencies in the regime. Kim Jong-un ordered him to settle the disputes, but when Chang defied that order, he was executed executed for going against Kim's supreme leadership. The spy agency chief also warns of a possible provocation by Pyongyang early next year, sometime between January and March, pointing out that North Korea's artillery units are being reinforced and more military exercises are being held. Nam says Pyongyang could forge ahead with provocations targeting Seoul in order to shift people's attention away from its internal instability. And the government remains firm on its warnings to the nation's public institutions and state-run companies heavily in debt. This is what the trade minister told some 40 heads of public firms under his ministry regarding fiscal reforms.
Bring a realistic plan, make a creative suggestion. If you are a CEO incapable of doing so, I will go ahead and replace you, or you should quit yourself.
Now, that's the minister asking for concrete plans on how each company will reduce their debt. Yoon told the firms to submit these measures by next month, saying the ones submitted earlier failed to show concrete steps that will successfully reform the companies. As of last year, the amount of debt owed by Korea's public institutions is said to hover around 566 trillion won, or roughly $540 billion US dollars. That's 114 billion more than the national debt.
And good morning, everyone. Time for a look through your newspaper headlines. The continuing impasse between labor and government continues to make the top story on the papers this morning. Let's go ahead and launch today's imprint with a look at 조선일보. It has a story highlighting the fact that this is not the first time the Korean government has tried to reform the railway sector, only to fail in the face of stiff opposition from its labor unions. The headline reads, "All prior government has surrendered to railway labor union. Will the Park administration prevail?" And the article says railway reform is an idea that has been around since the 1980s and saw its first attempted implementation in the 90s with the Kim Young-sam government. But as the insert shows, it failed in its aim to make the railway agency into a public corporation. Then it failed in privatizing it in the Kim Dae-jung administration. It was during the Roh Moo-hyun administration that saw the agency made into a public corporation, and since then government efforts to privatize it has made no headway, bringing us to the longest ever railway strike today in its 15th day. And whether it was 7 years ago or this month, the image the paper showing there that those impacted at the end of the day has been the citizens. All right, let's go ahead and scoot on over to Gyeongyang Shinmun and see how it covered this story this morning. The newspaper has on its front page image massive rally by members of the railway union as well as the umbrella group Korean Federation of Trade Unions. The headline, meanwhile, above it announces that the Federation of Korea Trade Unions will join Saturday's general strike as labor groups wage a collective fight against the government. This one day after the 12-hour-long struggle with police as it tried to raid the KCTU offices, you'll remember. No signs of letting up on either side as of yet. Okay, we'll leave that story there for now and turn to other news items making the front pages today. Next up is 동아일보. We'll go ahead and take a look at the story down here. The headline reads, President Park to grant special pardons on livelihood-related offenses during Lunar New Year holiday. The sub-headlines there adding that those who committed corruption-related crimes or belong to society's leadership will be exempt from this round of pardons that will be President Park in his first in her term. The article has a Cheongwade source saying that the depth and breadth of the pardons will be large, as she has instructed her presidential staff to prepare for a round of pardons that would help citizens convicted of minor offenses get back on their feet in their efforts to make a living. Korea's Lunar New Year falls on January 31st next year. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap things up with a look at our business newspaper for today. Korea Economic Daily's main headline reads, Korea's first female bank CEO, Kwon Sun-ju. In a world still largely regarded as a boys' club, Senior Executive Vice President at the Industrial Bank of Korea, Kwon Sun-ju, is poised to break through another glass ceiling as Korea's first female chief of a bank, commercial or state-run. The Financial Services Commission has recommended the English Lit major and IBK staffer since 1978 to take on the post of CEO at IBK. Kwon has already conquered many firsts, the article says, taking leadership in divisions including risk management, customer satisfaction, and financial consumer protection center. The FSC says in the subheadline there that it expects Kwon will place emphasis on qualitative growth with a balanced eye on risk management. And with that, we'll wrap your look at what's in print on this Tuesday. Next up are your closing numbers from Monday's market action.
We're expecting a warm Christmas this time around, it looks like.
So I think we have to give up on that white Christmas that we've been hoping for.
No miracles.
All right, for today's weather, we'll go to Idami. Dami, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, everyone, and hello to all of our Korea Today viewers. Today, I'm reporting live from Seongbuk-gu, Seoul. Now, on this Christmas Eve, today we're starting out with some chilly conditions. Right now, temperatures are at negative 5.5 degrees Celsius. But later, as the day progresses, we will be seeing mild conditions in the afternoon, as our highs here in Seoul will leap up to 5 degrees. As you can see, there's about a 10-degree difference, making a big gap between our highs and lows. Do keep this in mind and dress accordingly. As for this year's Christmas, yes, we will be seeing mild conditions similar to today. I say take this opportunity to enjoy some outdoor activities this year because this Thursday we are expecting to receive nationwide rain or snow, which will bring back the cold snap along with sharp, gusty winds. Ugh, just talking about it makes me cold. All right, let's now go ahead and check the weather around Korea. Seoul's highs will reach up to 5 degrees, Daejeon and Gangneung at 6, Daegu and Gwangju at 7, Busan the warmest at 10, and Jeju Island at 9 degrees. I'll be back in a few moments to introduce to you a surprising but heartwarming event.
Last Thursday, for the first time in 3 months, the two Koreas held the 4th Inter-Korean Gaeseong Industrial Complex Joint Committee meeting. At this meeting, Seoul proposed to hold a joint information session for investment in the industrial complex at the end of next month.
We propose to hold the event at the end of January as preparations come together, and the North did not suggest otherwise.
The following day, North Korea's state-run media, in a rare move, immediately reported the results of the joint talks. The Gaeseong Business Park for Pyongyang has been a lucrative source of foreign capital and a negotiating card in inter-Korean relations. Especially this year, tensions rose high between the two Koreas surrounding the Gaeseong complex. In March, the North threatened to close down the business park over Seoul and Washington's annual military drill. It not only banned South Korean personnel from accessing the park, it also pulled out all North Korean workers. 1 month later, Seoul also took the bold step of pulling out all personnel and leaving the complex shuttered. In June, Pyongyang offered to hold comprehensive talks, and Seoul counter-proposed holding inter-Korean ministerial-level talks. And after going through other stumbling blocks, the complex began operation again on September 16th. With this, the two Koreas agreed to work towards the internationalization of the complex and decided to hold an investment briefing to invite in foreign businesses. But the session in the end was postponed indefinitely. The fourth Joint Committee talks reopened for the first time in 3 months in the midst of these changing dynamics. Not only that, as previously scheduled, the delegation from G20 member nations who were in Seoul made their visit to the business park to tour the infrastructure of the complex and the production line of resident companies.
We are very delighted to see that the GIC is contributing to the peace and prosperity of the South and North Korean people.
Despite changing dynamics within the North Korean leadership, it looks as if inter-Korean economic projects, including the Gaeseong Business Park, will go unaffected. And much attention is on whether the joint investment briefing will take place next month, possibly speeding up the potential for internationalization.
And for more, we are joined by Arirang's political commentator, Dr. Kim Chol-woo, in the studio. Thanks for being here, Doctor.
Good to be here.
So the Gaeseong Complex has seen its ups and downs this year. How realistic at this point is it for the complex to become fully internationalized?
The internationalization of the complex depends on the North Korea's stability. With the backdrop of Jang Sung-taek's shocking execution, the international business community's perception of Kim Jong-un regime downward spiral to unstable and unpredictable. Who will invest on those kind of unstable regime? Chang was an iconic figure in terms of North Korean version of economic reform and innovation. But anyhow, at the international delegation's visit to Gaeseong was the first step toward inducing international investors since the restarting of the complex in September.
Right, so very meaningful
at this
step.
point in the China's economic posture toward Korea, North Korea is very significant. Although it looks like a different issue, but China has been the bloodline of the North Korean economy, particularly food and oil. But China's postures describing Jang Sung-taek's case kind of an internal affair, it's very interesting. So I think the Gaeseong's future is closely related to Chinese posture toward North Korea because that will add up international businessmen's confidence level to the certain level. So I think the international delegation visit is very significant.
So in terms of external factors, China's attitude or posture towards Gaeseong will be the key. But in terms of inter-Korean relations and inter-Korean, how the two Koreas are managing the Gaeseong Industrial Complex, what needs to be taken care of before the Gaeseong Complex can be fully globalized?
I'm not the person like a pessimistic guy, but in this kind of globalization is kind of wishful thinking at the moment. Because although the Seoul government and Park Geun-hye government tries to induce the international investors come to Gaeseong, it's lots of hurdles because of the risk, lots of risks of investment. Although there are lots of benefits like cheap labor, the tax benefits, and the other, even the South Korean government could give them funding to start on their business. The positive sign of North Korea's eager to show their, complex at this critical juncture is that they try to, get out of, international sanctions, and which means they deepened their isolation. They want to show them their willingness to show up because they even designate the 14 special economic zones throughout North Korea. So to particularly induce the Chinese involvement in that 14 economic zones. But at this point, China is unwilling to rush to join that special industrial complex. So this Gaeseong overall is very symbolic point. As for South Korea, it's kind of a symbolic avenue or alley to have a very good inter-Korean relations, which will lead to other options.
So it could be used for North Korea as its way of showing international cooperation is what you're trying to say. How much potential, economically speaking, would you say then the complex has for both North and the South?
I think already upon a decade, the Gaeseong covers only 40% of its planned area, unfortunately. And no South Korean flagship firm has invested. But still, it has a lot of potential because for the South Korean side, it could could educate the more than 53,000 workers with a free market economy or free market ideology to spill over into the North Korea. But that could be detrimental to keep the cohesion of North Korean regime. So I think the Gaeseong was not initiated by Kim Jong-un, so by his father. Although the Kim Dae-jung offered that special offer, but anyhow,
South Korea's former president Kim Dae-jung.
So Kim Jong-un would not follow his father's glorification.
He would like to maybe differ in a way?
I think he'd like to focusing on his own version of his achievements, like Wonsan area, special Mashing ski resort and those areas, his main focus. I think we have to keep an eye on the Kim Jong-un's initiative to use the Gaeseong case as a stepping stone to induce lots of international investors. Particularly, they try to stave off the international isolation with winning the hearts and minds of the international investors. So in that sense, Seoul government's strategic advance to cooperate and using the step-by-step approach to settle Gaeseong Complex as an internationalized hub is a good strategic point, but it has lots of hurdles.
Right, and I think it's interesting that you mentioned that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un would not want to follow in terms of economic plans, his father's legacy. I mean, speaking of other special economic zones, then would you say Gaeseong Complex is not high on the list of Kim Jong-un's push for boosting the regime's economy then?
For the Kim Jong-un case, for the internal, as a diversionary provocations, lots of brought up this point. But strategically speaking, for the Kim Jong-un, South Korea as not an economic partner, China is there. So Kim Jong-un might try to more focus on China's helping hand rather than South Korea, because the full scope and size of the economy coming from China is way bigger than South Korea.
Right.
China, they could try to utilize as a kind of a strategic military target to invite the internal cohesion or internal stability.
So if China shows interest, then North Korea may be even more interested in having more international capital come into the Gaeseong Complex. Then.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Kim Chae-ru, for joining us this morning and sharing your insight.
My pleasure.
7:23 a.m. on Korea Today, and still ahead, what major discoveries dominated the science and technology sector this year? We have the top achievements made in 2013, from Korea's rocket launch to a digital camera with a bug eyes view. We bring you your annual dose of tech stories.
Christmas is only a day away. Hope you've done your Christmas gift shopping already. I'm sure many people were frantically looking for Christmas gifts for their loved ones, both online and offline. And according to a survey done by the Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry, 1 out of every 4 online shoppers use direct overseas shopping.
So what exactly is direct overseas shopping? Well, it's basically direct. You find a shopping site and you order direct without a mediator handling any of the shipping or the charges that may apply. eBay, as well as online shopping from a certain store in the US or anywhere else in the world, might be one of those. And we'll take a look at how this is taking over the shopping market here in online shopping. At a distribution center in Incheon International Airport, an endless number of boxes full of goods purchased through direct international shopping are piled up. A significant number of consumers in Korea are now buying products from other countries using respective company websites. Over the past 3 years, the amount bought using direct purchases has jumped threefold to $600 million. And that amount continues to grow this year. Not only that, the increased rate in consumer expenditure is much greater, at almost double in spending overseas than within Korea.
The internet and mobile services have given people greater accessibility to information. They can access foreign websites very easily, and the reduction in customs due to the Korea-US Free Trade Agreement has also played a role. With lower customs, people can buy products for a cheaper price compared within Korea, so it adds to the reasons why this overseas direct online shopping has become popular.
Meanwhile, along with this new trend, another sector is also enjoying a boom. It's none other than the shipping companies. They provide shipping for products that are bought on websites that do not extend their services to Korea.
Just 3 to 4 years ago, the consumer market was limited, but now it has become a market that all consumers have access to. Compared to last year, we have seen a 2 to 3 times increase, and with the Christmas and holiday season, we're expecting a greater spike in volume.
This is an avid user of overseas direct online shopping who says her purchases are more affordable this way.
The clothes that my children are wearing are all bought directly from foreign websites. The greatest part is that it's cheap. It's only about half the price in Korea, and when it goes on sale, it's even cheaper.
Kwon Yeon-mi says she began shopping directly from websites after her children were born. And usually she buys children's goods or products that are useful around the house.
이렇게 원래는 가격이 39인데 한번 다운되고 더 다운되고 또 할인 코드가 나오면 추가적으로 더 다운되는 거니까 해외에서 제가 살 수 있는 물건은 안 사요, 국내에서. 가격이 차이가 너무 크니까요.
In the case of this product, when I bought it from a foreign website, it cost less than $100. So it was only half the price compared to Korea. The prices here are more than double.
She proudly lays out all the products she bought from abroad using direct purchases, which range from children's clothes to fine tableware. The house is full of items she bought from foreign websites. The reason why direct shopping is so popular is not only because of the cheaper prices, but also because people can gain access to brands unavailable in Korea and show a bit of individuality. But it's not only foreign brands that consumers are after. There are also many who buy Korean products, such as Samsung Electronics from other countries. Where does this trend come from?
Manufacturers may put out the same product, but when it's sold overseas, the margin is not as great, so you can sell it for a cheaper price. On the other hand, in Korea, because of the complicated distribution system, the price ends up increasing as it goes through the supply chain.
In the past, even if it's the same product, the more expensive ones sold better. But now, because consumers are becoming smarter and trying to get more with the information they have within their limited budget, companies cannot rely on this high-end marketing trend and remain competitive as they used to.
In the case of a Samsung television, the price in Korea and in the US show a stark difference. Even after customs and shipping fees, the same product is nearly half the price. It may not be a surprise that consumers are taking advantage of direct online shopping where they can get the same goods for a better deal. But there are voices of concern saying that this trend could deal a blow to the domestic market.
In the case of local companies, they have to simplify the complicated distribution system and cut back on the prices so that it's a more realistic price for the consumers. Manufacturers also need to create a greater variety of products that are not confined to the domestic market and can instead have greater competitiveness in the global market.
Korean companies are in the need to further boost their existing strengths, such as speedy shipping and good customer service that cannot be provided from overseas purchases, as well as lowering prices, as the direct shopping trend is likely to continue and grow in the future. Well, individuality and having the right item or having the item that no one has, that might be special. But fact of the matter is that you can shop for the same item pretty much through an online direct overseas shopping mall and have it shipped over, pay for the shipping, and also pay the import tax and still save 10 to 20% from what you would usually spend at a domestic online store.
And that's probably why a lot of major online retailers in Korea are also jumping into the industry because there's more demand, basically. And it used to be, in the past, it used to be really small websites, but now it's becoming bigger and bigger.
I'm gonna have to oppose because I think I speak for a lot of people when I say I prefer direct shopping as opposed to overseas online direct shopping. As in, I go to the department store and pick out the ones I want because you can touch and you can try on. And also there's the shipping that you have to pay for. And if you want a refund or if you want to exchange your items, then it's a hassle to get that done. Right. So yeah, there's a bit of downsides there too as well.
That's right. The service as well as warranty, it does come with the cost that you are paying for.
That's right.
Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings to you, wherever you are, good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas.
I want to get some Christmas gifts now.
Christmas gifts now? I mean, we're like one day before Christmas.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Oh my goodness. You really held off
waited
until
long
the last
enough.
minute,
You haven't gotten the presents yet.
All right, well, the Christmas spirit is all around us and the not the Hollywood, but the holiday spirit as well. Now, we're going to go to Idami. There's a special event that she's going to show us involving about 50 people, right?
That's right. It's going to be a Christmas ambush. Take a look. We're going to take it over to Dami.
Where is Dami? Okay, that's not Dami.
Okay, Tommy's nowhere to be seen right now.
All right. Okay, so surprise! Right now, early and about, there are many people right here on the bus getting ready to go to work on this Christmas Eve. And there's a very special event that is going on. And basically, can you hear the caroling right now? Okay, so basically, this is a special event that is happening inside the bus called Arirang or Beautiful Attack. This event is sort of like a flash mob, and it was made in the purpose of kind of showing support and giving strength to those who are working hard on Christmas Eve to support their families and for their future dreams. So it's just great. I mean, basically, this event started out by about 50 or so people gathering together through social networking sites to prepare for this event. So I think it's just beautiful, and it's a great opportunity for giving love and sharing love to the people. Now, through this event, there are many different things, such as, singing carols and also giving a small gift as well. So through these gifts, it's not anything big or large, but still through the small gift, people will be able to keep warm during the holidays. So I think that a lot of us, whenever it comes to the end of the year with the holiday season coming about, we always have kind of stress a little about thinking of what kind of plans that we have to do during the holidays. And usually it comes up with lots of preparation and a lot of compensation as well. But I say that, a small gift and giving attention to those, your neighbors and your loved ones is really what's important. So today, why not take the time to, share some time and some quality time with your loved ones and your neighbors. So, and also this, this event that is happening inside the bus, the Beautiful Attack, is not only going to stop here, but it's also going to go all throughout the day, and there's going to be an even bigger event later in the evening at a market near Dongmyo Station. So if you'd like to take participation, then you can check out their Facebook page and also take participation as well. That's all I have for now. I'm Idami, Korea Today. Merry Christmas!
being ambushed by a Santa.
I just can't believe it's Christmas Eve already.
I think I'd be very shocked if I was on that bus and a bunch of carolers just came and started singing songs and passing out gifts. Happy as well, but that is the holiday spirit going on right now. All right, 2013 was filled with innovation from the science and technology sector, everything from the flexible screen to a curved phone, a curved mobile smartphone coming out and hitting the stores.
And recently, the Korean Federation of Science and Technology Societies put out a list of some noteworthy scientific developments of this year. So we're going to take a look at this year in review in the world of science.
In 2013, there were some top technologies and developments that contributed to the growth and advancement of Korea's science industry. And these are some of the major achievements. The biggest story of the year was the successful launch of Korea's NATO-1. The country's first rocket successfully took off after 3 failed attempts, signaling the opening of a new era for Korea's space industry. With this, Korea has become a competitive space power, now having obtained the 3 essential technologies, including securing a launch site and building satellites and rockets. The NATO launch received much attention for that reason. Another technology that drew attention was one that gives you a look at a transparent brain. The technique can make tissue transparent, revealing the inner workings of the neural network. The see-through brain is created through chemical treatment and offers a look at the complicated wiring of the organ in 3D. People expect this technology will open doors to curing mental illnesses or conditions such as dementia by looking at the brain networking of the patients after they die, offering an understanding of where the problems lie within the brain. Another breakthrough this year was a substance developed to stop the spreading of cancer. It blocks off the protein KRS, which is a key cause of cancer spreading in the body, and was developed by a team of Korean researchers. The team confirmed that with this substance, they are able to cut off the functions of KRS and completely stop lung and breast cancer from spreading.
The discovery was made that the protein KRS accelerated the spreading of cancer. And so by creating a substance that deters this KRS, we have found a new mechanism to prevent cancer from spreading.
If the clinical trials are successfully carried out, this could become a candidate for developing one of the most innovative drugs in curbing the spreading of cancer. A super lens technology also received some spotlight. The super lens overcomes the limits of conventional optical lenses when it comes to focusing in high resolution, and introduced a method to create a focal point in ultra-high resolution.
By creating a focal point using the scattering of light, we are able to focus in on an area 3 times finer than conventional lenses.
The developer said optical lenses use the refraction of light, whereas the super lens uses a scattering of light, allowing for the observation of cell structures and even viruses. Also, a digital camera inspired by an insect's eye, which is the first camera in the world that offers a bug's eye view, was a big development this year. The device was developed by Korean Professor Song Young-min and Professor John Rogers in the US. The lens has a field of view 3 times greater than an average camera lens and provides a 160-degree look in all directions with 180 micro lenses set up in a dome-like structure. This allows for the great potential to be used in various fields.
Now, a camera that allows you to get a field of vision at 160 degrees. Joining us from Busan National University is Professor Song Young-min, Project Director, I believe. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so tell us about this, this camera or lens. What exactly is this?
Actually, the insect eye camera is a kind of a digital camera that imitates the bulging eye of insects, as known as compound eyes. And actually, the conventional digital camera is originated from the human eye. On the other hand, the shape of the insect eye is quite different with the human eye, and they shows very interesting imaging characteristics such as a wide field of view and high sensitivity to motion and nearly infinite depth of field. So we made an insect camera that shows 160 field of view, which is the 3 times much wider than the conventional digital camera.
3 times wider. It sounds like a cool device, and that looks pretty cool too. How could this be used in real life?
Actually, we expect that it would be ideal for the micro-air vehicle for surveillance, and another example is the miniaturized security camera to see some blind spots, and the third one is the endoscoping medical devices.
So it must have been a very long journey for you. I mean, what were some of the challenges along the way for you to come up with this technology?
Yeah, actually, this was very challenging work because we need image sensors and optic components with a full hemispherical geometry. But as you know, the conventional image sensors, such as CCD or CMOS, is very flat and rigid. So the forming a rounded shape of these sensors can place some very high mechanical strain on the system, which is why the insect-eye camera couldn't be realized so far. So our key concept is the use of flexible materials. So we replaced every stiff component to soft and flexible materials, and it allows a very large deformation from flat to full hemisphere. So as a result, we could make the insect-eye camera.
Wow, this is the world's first, I believe. So
yes.
Good job that you've done, and thank you for sharing this great invention with us.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for joining us today, Dr. Song.
Well, still ahead on Korea Today with the ski and snowboarding season in full swing. Many are hitting the slopes, but be sure to stay clear from accidents and injuries. From fractures, snow blindness, to hyperthermia and frostbite, we look into some dangers and give you safety tips coming up later on Korea Today.
And a good Tuesday morning to you all as we kick things off in baseball. While it's Christmas Eve here in Korea, Christmas came early for Lee Dae-ho, who signed a major deal with the SoftBank Hawks of the NPB. Now, big boy Lee Dae-ho had 2 major seasons with the Oryx Buffaloes, agreed to a 2+1 contract, which will pay him up to 1.9 billion yen, or roughly $18.2 million, including all the options. Now, the SoftBank Hawks struggled offensively last season and has been aggressively going after the 31-year-old slugger, as Lee Dae-ho is set to hit cleanup for the Hawks. And the 2 seasons in Japan, Lee Dae-ho hit 48 home runs and drove in 182 RBIs. And staying in baseball, Yoon Sung-min, who's been in the U.S. all this time in hopes to sign with a major league team, came back to Korea on Sunday night, and no one knew until the following day. And as soon as everyone found out Yoon Sung-min returned to Korea, the Kia Tigers were on a mad rush to sign the pitcher once again. But the 27-year-old righty stated that he's only here to rest for the holidays and will not talk to any KBO teams regarding a contract. Instead, he added that he plans to return to the States in January, hoping to sign with a major league team before the 2014 season begins. Now, certainly a lot of baseball news this morning as the KBO announced their 2014 schedule on Monday. And believe it or not, we're about 3 months away from the start of a new season. Now, with these schedules being released, the 9 KBO teams will play each other 16 times throughout the season for a total of 128 games. This comes out to 576 games throughout the league in 2014, with the opening day taking place on March 29th. The schedule was made so that each team travels as little as possible in between series, with the All-Star game taking place on July 18th. And shifting gears and finishing things off in the K-League Classic, the soon-to-be Seongnam FC, who hopes to start fresh after the city decided to take over the team, has a new head coach, and he's quite experienced, to say the least. The club decided to go with an experienced head coach in 75-year-old Park Jong-hwan, who last coached Daegu FC back in 2006. And although head coach Park hasn't coached in the past 7 years, he has 41 years of experience as a coach, as his unique style of football of total offense and total defense could change the team for the better. The 3-year deal will have him in the league until he's 78, in a league filled with young head coaches like Hwang Sun-hong and Choi Yong-soo. Well, it's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
The end of the year is fast approaching. And as we look back to all the happenings of 2013, what are some moments or events that stand out? Well, we want to know. So send us your pictures or videos of this past year to Korea Today at arirang.co.kr, and we could possibly select them and show them on air on December 31st. Include your name, brief description of what you're sending, including the city and country of where your photo or video was taken. The deadline is December 29th, so send your captured moments soon.
Now, with the winter sports season in full swing, many are flocking to the nearby ski resorts to go snowboarding or to go skiing, whatever you like, whatever's for you. But the problem is that some people go there and end up with a bit more than they could handle or want.
That's right. And what are some of the things you need to keep in mind when you hit the slopes? Our Dr. Alice Hyung-Young-Dan joins us with some answers, or I'd like to say Santa of the day. Merry Christmas.
Santa's position. Is Santa cleared for takeoff tonight?
Oh, yes. So over the last 3 years, there have been nearly 20,000 ski-related injuries reported here in Korea. The most common cause was personal neglect, and they occurred most frequently on the beginner slopes and in the afternoon, ranging in severity from mild bumps and sprains to major concussions and fractures. Many times these injuries are preventable, so it's important to learn how to stay safe on the slopes.
Okay. All right, we'll look at this next video and find out some more information. A little bit tongue-tied here on Christmas Eve.
With the season of skiing in full swing, the number of people hitting the slopes as well as related injuries are on the rise.
In the case of snowboards, you fall a lot on your hands, so you often injure your wrists.
When I fall over, I think I hurt my bottom or head a lot.
I pull muscles in my hips or neck, usually when I fall over.
Over the past 3 years, the main cause of injuries on the slopes have been bruising at almost 37%, ligament sprains at nearly 22%, and bone fractures at roughly 17%.
When you fall over, if you use your hands to prop the body up, or instead of falling on your side, if you fall on your bottom, you can experience various fractures and sports injuries. You can injure the cruciate ligament, the collateral ligament, or can be subject to a meniscus tear.
In order to enjoy yourself without getting hurt, you have to warm up ahead of skiing or snowboarding for at least 15 minutes and loosen up the body muscles. Knowing how to ski is important, but how you fall over is also essential. Put your weight on the bottom while falling and lower your body as if sitting to slow down the speed. If you have sustained an injury on the slopes, remain still and request help from a medical team for emergency assistance. Ultraviolet rays on the slopes are 2 times greater than in the city, so it's important to wear goggles or sunglasses. Although light reflection on the sand is only at 5 to 20%, on the snow or ice it reaches up to 85 to 90%. This means you are exposed to roughly 4 times the amount of UV rays on the slopes than you are on the beach.
Snow blindness occurs because of the reflecting ultraviolet rays, and it causes the eyesight to severely deteriorate temporarily. In most cases, it stops as a temporary condition, but in very severe cases, it can cause the loss of vision.
Strong UV rays affect the skin exposed to it as well. 30 minutes before you head up the slopes, apply sunblock with a SPF higher than 30. As you spend a fun day on the snow-covered fields, you might start feeling hot. But if you remove your clothing because of this and expose your neck, wrists, and ankles, this can lead to hypothermia.
When you're skiing, you get hot and sweaty, so sometimes you take your clothes or socks off. But in this case, if you're exposed to the cold, it can cause hypothermia. And if your body temperature drops below 35 degrees, it can cause malfunctioning in the organs and cells. If it falls under 32 degrees, it can be life-threatening.
If you stay in wet clothes for a long time in the cold, you can get frostbite on your fingers and toes.
In order to prevent this, when taking a break every 2 to 3 hours, take off your shoes and massage the toes to stimulate blood circulation. Pack a lot of socks and change them frequently so they don't get wet. Prepare ahead of time and make sure you enjoy a safe and fun time on the slopes this winter.
So all of those are the reasons I don't ski. See, I stay
Those should not
slope.
prevent you from going, though.
Right. If I am a beginner skier, and if I try to come down the slopes and break a bone or something, what are some of the steps that I need to take? These are real questions I have for you, Doctor.
Right. So fortunately, most of the major ski resorts here in Korea have excellent ski patrols that are very highly skilled and well-trained. And so once they arrive on the scene, you're in good hands. Steps that you can take, however, remember PIC, P-I-C. So first, apply pressure to the injured area if there's any bleeding to compress the bleeding area. I is for immobilization, and this is especially important if you've had a neck fracture. It's crucial that you keep the head and neck absolutely still. Also, if there are any bones protruding from the skin, a really bad break, do not attempt to push that bone back in. And C is for cold application. So that can be in the form of packed snow or an ice pack. Apply cold to the injured area. Never directly on the skin, however, have a layer of clothing in between. And those are the steps that you can take after a fracture.
Minjung's never going skiing.
I'm hearing that.
Wow, bad things can happen though. But I've had corrective eye surgery, and my optometrist was always telling me that I should wear sunglasses as much as I can. And of course, when you're on the snow, I mean, it's sometimes you can get snow blindness. I mean, how would you deal with that? And also, if you've had corrective eye surgery, does it affect you more?
Yes, so your eyes need to be protected against UV light for up to 12 months after receiving corrective eye surgery. And this is so that the uppermost layer of your eye, called the cornea, can heal correctly. I recommend for skiing, people wear polarized lenses that offer both UVA and UVB protection. And goggles and sunglasses have the advantage of also protecting against the wind, and the delicate skin around your eyes can also be protected. So it's better to wear, say, goggles and sunglasses over just UV protection contact lenses alone.
What about if you break a tooth or teeth? I think that's the worst situation that I can imagine that will happen to me.
So if the root of the tooth is still intact, there's actually a good chance that you could have the tooth re-implanted into your mouth. Of course, the challenge is going to be to find that broken tooth in the snow.
It's all white. And the blood, too.
You're going to be doing a lot of digging, Young.
Where is my tooth? You want to store the tooth in plain cold milk if possible.
Milk?
Yes, or medical saline solution, and try to get to the dentist within 30 minutes. And if you follow this advice, there's actually about a 90% success rate for re-implanting the tooth. Yes.
All right, good to know. Next time I break my teeth, that's exactly what I will do.
Right, come down the slope first. But
no, I need to find my broken teeth.
Okay, finally some tips on how to be safe on the slopes.
So 5 tips for staying safe and having fun. The first is make sure that you warm up and stretch before you start skiing. Also, make sure that your equipment is snug and well-fitting. For beginners and children, I recommend wearing a helmet for head protection as well. While you're skiing, try to take a break every 2 hours or so, and during that time, make sure you're staying well hydrated. So, hot chocolate on the slopes, there's nothing better than that. Also, if you're not feeling comfortable for whatever reason on the slopes, don't attempt to ski down. Call for help. Move to the side area of the slopes. And if you're having a hard time, just sort of use that side-stepping motion
down,
to come down. Don't attempt to ski down. And finally, don't ski after drinking alcohol. There's nothing romantic about that. It's not safe. Some people, they go as a couple, they enjoy some wine or champagne, and they think it's a good idea to go skiing, but it's not.
And don't ever over ski. Don't ever ski over your level. A lot of people think they could handle that expert slope, and they find out they can't the hard way. Right?
Right.
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for this story.
You're welcome.
All right, that brings us to the end of our Christmas Eve edition of Korea Today.
Right, we'll see you back here tomorrow morning on Christmas morning.
Edition of Korea Today.
All right, have a great day.
Thank you.